All right. So Mason, thanks for joining us here and understand that you're an alumni from the school. You started your own business. You got a lot going on. I see you around everywhere. First, I just want to say congratulations. And
Thank you.
it's just
Thank you.
great to see you out in the field and making moves. Um, so first, I'll give you a chance to just introduce yourself. Just give us your full name, your age, and where you call home, I guess, where you're from.
All right. So a little bit about me. My name's Mason. I went to the Cleveland School of Cannabis, graduated back in 2020. I've lived in Cleveland all my life, actually. I'm based out of Mayfield Heights. And what else did you want me to add?
No, that was it. I think where you're from, your age. Did you say your age? I think you did.
Oh, yeah, I'm 24. That was the
Okay,
last part, the age.
24.
Yeah, so I'm
So you
24.
started, you say you started pretty early. How old were you when you started at the school?
So I applied at Cleveland School of Cannabis when I was 17.
Oh, nice.
So I was a young bull.
Okay.
But I
And a
kind of
new
took a little bit
thing.
of
Yeah.
time off in between because I didn't realize that I couldn't really work until I was 21. So
Um,
4 years of school was a little too much for me personally.
yeah, for sure, for sure. So this is another question I wanted to start asking folks. I think I'll ask everyone I interview this. When was the how old were you the first time you used cannabis?
Honestly, I was pretty young. I was probably like 13 or 14. So not
Mhm.
saying that's something
Yeah,
most
no,
people
it's not
should
something we should
do,
on,
but me,
but I
I
think
was
it's
I
good
was
we be
exposed to it
honest
at a
about
young
it.
age for sure.
Okay, cool, cool. And then how were you first like introduced to cannabis? Like what made you try it? Did your parents use cannabis? Did you see friends and family? Did you have older siblings or something? Like what kind of exposed you to the cannabis world in the first place?
Honestly, I think I was just kind of curious about it. So I was starting to listen to a little bit more rap music because I was 13, 14 years old. So
Mhm.
I guess like that kind of played a little bit into it in a way. Plus, I used to skateboard.
Okay.
So my friends had older brothers and they would always be around like smoking something. So I wasn't trying to like fit in, but I was definitely curious about like, like why are they doing this? Like they're not really supposed to be doing that. So
Yep. Yep. Average curiosity
yeah, I was just a
of
young,
an
curious kid. I'm
adolescent.
like, oh, what's this do? So
So what when did you start to consider cannabis as like a career opportunity, outside of just being a hobby or something you wanted to try recreational? Like what made you decide that this is something that you may want to pursue as a career?
um so it started towards I would say my senior year of high school. I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease and I was having a lot of trouble like going to school
Hmm.
and I the only thing that was really giving me a relief were cannabis and then I was taking some CBD oil. I think the company was I want to say it was Social
Okay.
was the brand. I don't know if you've heard of them.
No, I'm not familiar, but one thing with Crohn's disease, can you quickly explain kind of what kind of disease it is and what are the symptoms that you were addressing with the cannabis or just common sense?
Yeah, absolutely. So basically the best way I can describe Crohn's is it's basically having like the worst stomach ache of your life at any given moment where it could come on like out of nowhere basically.
Uh-huh.
So one moment I could be fine, then the next moment I could eat something and that could totally just destroy that.
Wow.
So I've learned over the years that like okay, like cannabis kind of helps bring down that inflammation or anything I'm having with my Crohn's. So
Gotcha.
basically, to rewind it back, when I was in high school, I'd wake up every morning and I would
Mm.
just yak like for no apparent reason, and I'd be like, all right, like I can't go to school, like I feel like shit, like how am I gonna focus all day?
Yep. Okay.
So
So you were how old when you were diagnosed?
17 or 18. So yeah,
Were
it
you
was the
still
end
in
of
school?
2017.
Were you still in high school?
It was right at the end of high school,
Gotcha.
like
So
going into the summer of me like gonna start college and stuff like that.
gotcha. So was it CBD alone that helped it, or was it THC and CBD? And then
It was the mixture.
okay. And
Yes.
how did your parents feel about it? You know, did they already accept the fact that you used marijuana at that time, or was it something you had to convince them of?
At the time, like they definitely knew like I was smoking, but they didn't really realize, I think, the medical potential behind it until I started to really get into it more. And then that's something I had to explain. Because I remember in the beginning of high school, my mom was like totally against it.
Yeah,
So like anytime she would catch me or my friends doing something, like I would be in trouble.
for sure. Yeah. I mean, that's most of us, right?
Yeah, so she didn't condone it, but she definitely like knew what was up, I would say.
Gotcha. So you started to use it to, to help yourself medically. Uh, when did you graduated right around the time you graduated high school? So did those two things just come together? And since it was helping you, did you just decide, I want to use this plant to help others? And is that what pushed you towards, looking into it as a career?
Yeah, so that's actually that's where we get started. So I kind of realized at that point, like, okay, like this is obviously doing something for me. Like we've always seen that like cannabis has medical benefits.
Mm-hmm.
So my parents wanted me to go to college at Lakeland to study business, and I just wasn't feeling that.
Yeah.
So I knew I wanted to do something in the cannabis industry, but I didn't know if I wanted to like have my own business per se.
Uh-huh.
So I thought it would be a cool idea to go get my education at the Cleveland School of Cannabis. So then this way I could kind of learn a little bit more about why I guess smoking it is making me feel the way it does, like better in a sense, you know?
Yeah. So
So
when you brought that idea, I mean, I'm not sure, did you have to, convince I don't know if you needed your parents to support that? Like on the financial end, did you have to convince your parents that the Cleveland School of Cannabis was a viable career option for you, or were they?
so yeah, they I had to convince them to do it. They made me do one semester at Lakeland. And
Mhm.
then I told them like I'm not doing this. Like this isn't for me. So they're like, okay. They gave me the ultimatum. They're like, if you want to go here, that's totally fine. But they're like, well, you're gonna pay for the whole thing.
Uh-huh.
So I had to go. I was working at Dillard's at the time. So I was working in a retail shoe department like 40, 45 hours a week, just
Uh-huh.
stacking my money so I could eventually just have a career that I wanted to do.
That's awesome.
And I always think about that till this day because I'm like, man, I never want to go back to that.
To sell shoes, that's funny. My first job
Yeah,
was
man, dressing up in like dress clothes, selling like high heels and UGG boots to women. It's just not my cup of tea. I mean,
yeah,
I did pretty good in the department. I won't lie, but
yeah.
no.
Yeah, yeah, I understand too. And I mean, I think that's a big thing that people miss. And maybe you could speak to that too. It's like, you know, um, I mean, everybody wants to make a lot of money, and there's a lot of
Right,
money to be made in cannabis, but the community in cannabis and the atmosphere that you get to work in, right? It's not like you got to tighten up a tie every day and go to work. So
right.
speak to that aspect of being involved in the cannabis industry and relate it back to, say, your days at Dillard's or something. How would you expand on that?
Um, sorry, what do you mean by like expand?
So being in the cannabis industry, how is it different from working, a corporate job or being in sales, things like that? Like just the cannabis industry in itself, taking the
Okay, yeah.
finance.
So, I mean, it's pretty in a way that it's similar, I could say, is cannabis is all like learning a product and knowing how to sell it.
Mm-hmm,
So I guess that could be like throwing it back with shoes. Not every shoe's the same, obviously.
mm-hmm.
Same with cannabis. So they all have their different benefits, but some shoes might be more comfortable for others. While the cannabis plant, one strain might help somebody with their inflammation, while the other helps more with pain. If that makes sense.
Yeah, but I'm speaking more of like, why would, if you the same job, right? In, like you say, you got to sell in either one. But what's the difference between the community and the cannabis industry? Like for me, I don't like to dress up. Like I wear, sweatpants every day
Right.
to work. I never have to worry about getting pee tested, things like that. In the cannabis industry, you're allowed to like listen to music at work. There's a diverse, group of people that are in the industry. It's not like uptight like other industries.
Right.
Have you noticed that in your career so far?
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's not like a corporate job where it's like, oh, you got to be back at this time. But a lot of people are pretty laid back for the most part. I mean, still got to treat it like a job and get things done, obviously. But
For sure.
you don't have to worry about like saying the wrong thing necessarily. You could just be like, oh, like my bad or this and this. So
Yeah, for sure. People a lot more kind of understanding. Yeah, I think it's just a lot more of a, in my opinion,
people are a lot happier too. It seems like.
there you go. That's that's a
Yeah, as long as you're like with a good company, like people seem to be happy.
yeah, yeah, that's a good way to put it. Um, all right, so let's backtrack. So you're getting into the school. What program did you decide to take?
So I don't know if it's different now, but at the time it was called the medical program
Yep.
when I
Okay.
took it. So I believe it was 4 classes and then 2 electives.
Yep.
So, but the one class that really stuck out for me was the endocannabinoid system course.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a very important course. I think they should be teaching it in almost every college personally, because not a lot of people know that we have the endocannabinoid system in our bodies. So,
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. That was
and then that's kind of when everything started to click for me personally. I was realizing like, okay, like if THC hits this receptor, it's going to help with pain relief here or so and so. So,
absolutely started to kind of like put what you were seeing, into terminology that made sense that you could kind of express it to others, right? Instead of it, a lot of people think, if they're not believers in cannabis, think, cannabis people explain it like it's some sort of snake oil that fixes everything.
right, right.
People don't know how to express the actual science behind, what's going on. So that probably gave you some good tools to be able to
Absolutely. Even with the terpenes, you see like different strains have different terpene profiles. So you might get one strain that smells more like a candy or something with lemons that's going to be higher in limonene, or you
mm,
might get like something that's like spicy and real peppery, and you can kind of tell it's going to be higher in caryophyllene, stuff like that.
mm-hmm.
So when people say like, "Oh, it's just weed," or "It's gonna get me high," like there's a reason why you might go after what you like because of terpene profiles and stuff like that.
Yep, yep. And then that seems like it's going to be important in a place like Ohio where you can't actually smell it. So, if they have that on the packaging, it actually probably give you a good idea if you
Absolutely, yeah,
understand
you get a
what,
good
right?
idea of what you like, or even I always tell a lot of people when they just start getting into buying a bunch of new strains and stuff, like keep a little journal to see like what you like, just so you can kind of gauge to go back to something, you know.
Yep,
Because that's
absolutely.
how I am personally. Like I go after the candies, the gelatos, stuff like that, just because that's how my body reacts the best. That's what I like,
Yep.
stuff like that.
So, your experience at the school, it seems like you had a great experience. Um, it took you probably what, 6 to 12 months to finish.
Something like that. I might have stretched it a little bit longer just because of my age, but I finished it up fairly quick.
Okay, gotcha. So when you graduated, were you looking for a job at that time, or were you already thinking I'm going to start a business? Or take us through the process of graduating, and then how, what your thought process was, and then what was your like plan of attack to start your career?
So yeah, I graduated, and at the time there was like 3 or 4 dispensaries by me. So
Hmm.
I was like, I'm gonna try to get a job now, just as a basic bud tender, get my foot in the door in the industry, because what my main thing was. I wanted to just tell people like how cannabis was helping me personally for my Crohn's,
Mm-hmm.
and I wanted to help provide like information to anybody that was interested of using it for similar issues or even different issues.
So did you end up applying for those jobs?
Yeah, I applied to all those. I got one interview and then I didn't get a call back.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, I think it's because COVID hit.
Yeah.
So times were probably definitely a little tougher.
Mm-hmm.
But at that point, I was just sitting around with a few of my friends one day and they were telling me, they're like, dude, they're like, just start your own brand.
Yeah.
So one of my buddies actually hopped on it with me, Christian.
Okay.
So he's like, dude, he's like, I'll help you do it. And I'm like, all right. So
All
we
right.
kind
So,
of just said
so take me
screw it at that point and went to it.
take me through that process. So, you get out of school, you think you're gonna be, a dispensary agent. You didn't get, one of the first, interviews you got, which led you kind of back to the drawing board, I guess, right? And
Yeah.
and then you started to look at starting your own brand. So this is what year now? This is 2020 still?
Yeah. 2020.
Okay, gotcha. So you're probably in the shutdown, right? And you got a
Yeah.
lot of time on
We're in the winter of the shutdown. So that's actually when we started to figure everything out. I drew up a logo one night, probably like late October, on a little piece of paper. I still have the picture if you want to see the original OG
Yeah,
logo
I
on like a
definitely
little,
look at
it's
that.
on like a little square of notebook paper or something.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We definitely want to show that to the audience too.
Yeah, so that's how
And
that
and
started.
that's
And
pretty
then,
much the one that you have now that I see on the website. That's your logo is pretty much
no, it's actually fully revamped. The
okay, got you.
old logo, it's on our Instagram. It's the probably the first picture. You'll also see like the tincture topical and the CBD vape we did with it.
Okay, got you. Yeah, yeah, I'll look that up for sure.
Yeah, so but
So
then
you
we
and your buddy, did you partner on the business then, or did you start it and hire your friend, or how did that partner
no,
go?
me and him are 50-50 partners.
Okay, got
So he does a lot of the web stuff for us.
okay.
Yeah, so
And how did you
that's not my expertise at all.
and you started 2020 was still CBD was still kind of the main cannabinoid that you were getting at
Yeah,
the shops and stuff like that. So you started with a real high focus in the CBD products, I would imagine. And then tell us a little bit about, your journey, launching it. What were the first steps after, you created a logo and, you decided what you wanted to name your product? Can you take us through the progression of, just starting a business and getting all the way up to the point where you kind of got your first sale?
yeah. So we were back at the time we were working with after we found the logo and all that, I'm like, okay, it's time to find like somebody that can make this for us.
Yeah.
I'm like, I want it to be an Ohio based company. So uh, if ideally we could do all of our manufacturing in Ohio, that would be cool. So went right on the Google search and looked up hemp processors in Ohio or hemp growers in Ohio. Saw a list and then started going through the list and started calling around, figuring out, okay, hey, like, can I come check out your facility? We are interested in having some products made, stuff like that. That was really the first step.
Gotcha.
And then once we were able to secure a manufacturer, they were basically able to do all the rest for us. We tell them, hey, we want a 500 milligram peppermint flavored tincture in a cobalt blue 1 milliliter bottle.
Uh-huh.
We need the label to be compliant, stuff like that.
Got you. So was the plan then to just sell online, go to events, or what was your plan as far as marketing, get in front of people?
There really was no plan. I was kind of like, okay, we have a website. I remember I used to post some things on Instagram here and there,
Mhm.
started to get flagged immediately. And I was like, at first, I thought somebody just didn't like me. I was like, wow, I'm like, someone's just like reporting all my stuff.
Uh-huh.
Over the years, you kind of realize that it's just AI or whatever, just
Yeah.
flagging your stuff.
Uh-huh. So has that eased up a little bit then? Since I mean we've kind of seen that.
I mean, yeah, you still have to watch with some stuff, but it's a lot easier now. Like I know how to get around it.
Yeah.
So
And are you talking about like sponsored ads or just basic posts on Instagram?
basic posts.
Okay.
We haven't ran any sponsored ads. We
Okay.
can. We're on Google, so
Yeah, I think it's maybe time to start looking into that. I know as the school, we used a lot of stuff that used to get flagged is kind of getting through now. So yeah, you may want to, reconsider.
yeah, most definitely. Because I've seen a few for the gummies and stuff like that. So we could definitely do something similar to that.
What where do you most of your sales come from? Do they come from your website? Do they come from events? How do you get most of your customers and then and how do you keep your customers?
So the way we keep our customers is we do a bunch of those pop-up events. We
Mhm.
try to do like 4 or 5 a month if we can.
Okay.
And then that's really the best way for us to drive people to our website.
Mm.
Because if they buy something with us once before, then we can kind of give them more of that in-person interaction so they know who they're getting their stuff from. I can tell my story a little bit,
Yeah.
stuff like that. We're trying to do a lot more wholesale now as well. It's just hard going to smoke shops and trying to sell like a good product to them. Sometimes they just want a cheap product that they can make the most money off of.
Yeah.
So, but I'd say my main focus for this year is we're going to try to get them more in the health food stores, like yoga studios, massage parlors,
Yeah.
places
Okay.
like more like community driven places, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. So is this something now that you're still part-time with? Do you have a full-time job that you work or
No, this is just what I do full time.
nice? So you've
Yeah,
been able to
so
continue business in, what, not even 4 years. That's a full-time gig for you. That's pretty impressive.
yeah, I mean, dude, it's not easy. There's some days where like I wonder why I'm still just stringing it along, but it's like I just remember like sometimes, hey, I gotta keep it pushing, you know?
Yeah, well, I definitely commend you. It's a hard, it's a hard space to be in, but I think there is a lot of opportunity right now. You have a lot of, I guess they're not new cannabinoids, but right, stuff that we're discovering with all the delta eights, and then the ability to also sell, THCA in some cases.
Right.
Most states that's legal right now. Obviously, there's a battle between the hemp people and the dispensaries. Both people have an argument. But at the end of the day, opportunity is opportunity. So
Absolutely. Plus something I think we have that the dispensaries don't is we're uh we're just two smaller guys, so we're not like a big corporate company or anything. So it seems like from what I'm seeing, Ohio wants to see a lot more of that. They don't want to see the corporate guy. They want to see the smaller guy who's been here. Like I said, I've been here in Cleveland all my life.
yeah,
So if I could make a presence with my hemp stuff and then eventually flip it into something bigger, I mean, that's the hopes and dream right there.
yeah, absolutely. So do you hope to have a dispensary one day, maybe?
Oh yeah, I hope we can do full swing everything. So
Yep.
dispensary, cultivation, processing with in-house products, bring in other brands as well. I got a lot.
Got a lot. Yeah. I mean, that's the plan. I mean, that was the kind of the plan from the beginning, I guess, not to necessarily start your own business, but um, you got your education, which really gave you upper hand in the marketplace. If you stayed around and kept interviewing, you'd most likely have a job. I know that.
Oh yeah, I know people tell me that all the time. Like when they ask me like why'd you start your own business or whatever, I'm like, because I couldn't get a job. I'm like, I wanted to work in cannabis and I just couldn't get my own job. So had to take matters into my own hands.
Yep.
And they're like, you would not have that problem now. And I'm like, yeah, I
Yeah, because
know.
I know we
I'm
see
like,
you,
things have definitely changed, but
but
I
yeah, I
mean,
think
I've thought about getting into a different area just to like go try it, like maybe part time in like cultivation or something, just to like get a little hands on experience in an actual grow facility. Cause I want to start growing myself now that it's legal.
yeah, yeah,
But
absolutely.
I'm definitely not the best with that either.
Well, I mean, obviously we're here to help you. So if you,
Right, right.
you can always come by the school and get some advice. But uh
I've talked to Randy a few times about the lights and stuff. He's very informative. So
perfect, perfect. So before we wrap, I don't want to keep you too long. I would say a couple of things. One is, what would you say to somebody who's looking at CSC or looking at cannabis, education in general, and kind of on the fence about it? What advice could you give to them?
honestly, like I would say do it. Like go to the school. I know that's a pretty cliche thing to say, but I did learn a lot there. You will learn a lot there, but the most important thing is the connection still till this day. Like I have probably 3 or 4 of my friends that are running their own businesses or heads in cultivation facilities that went to CSC.
Hmm.
And just being able to keep them around in that network, like with like-minded people, that's something that I feel like can get you pretty far in this industry.
Yeah, we definitely noticed that too, especially when like we wear our gear in Ohio. Whenever you wear some CSC stuff out, you're always going to get somebody to tap you on the shoulder that says, "Hey, I went there, or my brother went
That's
there."
what I'm saying. And it starts a whole new conversation. It's just like
Yeah,
it's cool.
absolutely. Yeah, and I think that's what we're hoping is going to make the difference. Is that we have put in that work and we've been doing it a long time, at least here in Ohio, and we hope to expand that, across the world. But for outside of CSC, just talking to somebody who's on the fence about starting their own business, what should they prepare for? What advice do you have to somebody who may be in that position that you were when you first graduated? Because it always doesn't happen as fast as we think, right? So like
Right.
sometimes
No,
we will get students who are frustrated, who are like, "Hey, I graduated, it's been 4 months, I don't have a job yet." But we always see them come back in a year or two and say, "Hey, I'm sorry about that. I ended up getting a job, I work here, I love
right,
it."
right.
Usually the outcome. But if someone's graduated the program maybe and are in that space where they're frustrated, and maybe they don't have a job, or maybe they're getting jobs, but they have that calling maybe that you had about starting their own business, what advice do you have for them?
Basically just be ready to grind. Like it's not going to be an easy process. It can be discouraging a lot, but it can also be very rewarding. So you just got to stay focused and keep it pushing. Like some days will be good, some days will be bad, but as long as you get up and keep doing what you're doing, you'll be successful.
And what's the best part about it? What do they have to look forward to? Is it the freedom of choosing what you want to do? Is it the ability to put your creative ideas to work? Like what's the thing that would prevent you from moving away from the entrepreneurship aspect?
Um, I guess like wearing if it's too hard to juggle too many things for you at once, it might not be something for you. Doesn't mean you can't do it, but you might want to consider bringing in more than one person or even just a business partner if multiple different hats have to be worn. So say you need someone to do your designs, you need somebody to produce the product for you.
Mm-hmm.
You need someone to build a website for you. Like I said, I'm not good at that whatsoever, so that's why I'm lucky to have Christian to help me do things because he's the reason we can be seen on Google. He's the reason our website functions, orders go through. So
Gotcha.
if you're okay with having to do multiple things and you understand that you're not just selling a product, then I think you'll be good to go.
Gotcha. And since we're ending here talking about the website, where can anyone who's watching this video, where can they find your product, and how can they reach out to you?
So yeah, our website's shoporganicbotanic.com. We have an email and a contact form on there. You can shoot us an email. Also, if you look us up on Google, we pop right up. There's a phone number on there. Shoot us a call. We don't answer, just leave us a message and we'll get right back to you. Orders on our site, anything over $50, you get free shipping. So
All right. All right.
That's basically the gist, I guess. Check us out. See if there's anything you like. Fresh drop of infused syrup coming for 420. So
Nice, nice. Yeah, we'll promote that too. And we're gonna start to highlight some of our alumni and products in our newsletter too. So if you do have a, some sort of special coming up, let us know because
absolutely. Yeah,
we're
I'll have to
pretty
get
big
you
in
some of
there
our
this year.
syrup too.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, give us a we'll test it for you. We'll put our reviews in the newsletter and we'll try to send some.
Absolutely. I need all of them I can. That's the main thing I'm still struggling with is we get people to buy the stuff, but I really need those reviews so people can see that we're legit or we're not just like not a real company.
Absolutely.
So
All right. Well, thanks for your time, Mason. And we'll be in touch and good luck on your journey. And I look forward to reconnecting with you in the near future.
thank you, Austin. It was great chatting. Appreciate being on here.
All right. Have a good day.
You too.